How now? And look, I'm still wearing this black shirt, especially for my channel. Currently. Anyway, I thought I'd do something unusual for my channel now, and as sure as I should have recorded me Ty Doty Walker in front of my fireplace, which I added in the comments later, I thought I owed it to my channel to talk about the documentary about scary stories to tell in the dark and the movie, both of which I'm pretty pleased with. Thought I'd talk about the documentary first. I have the DVDs right here. The documentary I saw first because it was out first. I think coincidentally, but rather fittingly. Pretty much making this an impromptu thing. I'm not really making a review or anything. It just felt right to talk about these two. Funnily enough, the person who made the documentary kind of has a similar name to mine. Cody Myrick, or Mayrick. M-E-I-R-I-C-K. And admirably, in every sense, the documentary has the, well, it has voiceover with, yeah, those drawings in that kind of style of, but it's not actually by Stephen Gamble, but there is there's a good voice. I think there's one interview with him on the phone or something. But that's pretty much going to make me want to watch it again, because even R.L. Stine, who I was a fan of right before these in elementary school, I was like fresh off of Goosebumps, and finding these books, I was on top of the world. Not only that, but he, it's kind of off topic, but he actually responded to one of my emails in, I think, 2015. And he pretty much said, "Thank you for your, no, Corey, so glad you enjoy my books. Good luck with your writing." And boy, it's surreal when R.L. Stine says, "Good luck with your writing." I think I should upload some more of it soon. Anyway, it's no wonder teachers think I have ADD when I was talking about certain subjects and talk about something else. Anyway, I thought I'd show the covers, I guess, even though you can find them. The skull that's smoking a corncob pipe like Frosty. That's kind of funny, but this is giving an example of one of the amusing drawings that are in the books that actually don't have stories. And I like that as much as the ones that have drawings but aren't anything like the stories, like Oh Susanna, one of my favorites, or the voice. And they are just crazy haunting. I mean, I just can't even describe it to you, but like the back of it right here. The animations were actually done by Shane Hunt, and couldn't have done a much better job. But mostly the documentaries, it's not scary itself. It's more, it's people talking about the history of it. Like it opens, both of them, the movie and the documentary, open with the Hearst song, which I read incorrectly because I can't read music, but that's kind of making my own thing of it. I did the wrong beat before I saw either of these. It's amusing. I'm not really a singer either. Some of these people I haven't heard of, but most of them don't really matter. Some of them are actually the author Alvin Schwartz's family, and it's kind of touching that his son would talk about uh, they're growing up together and the other books that he wrote. And I think I read one that he wrote about South Dakota, and he even wrote one about Thanksgiving that I've just seen drawings of, also with Stephen Gamel, or maybe it wasn't Alvin Schwartz, but it was Stephen. I don't really remember, but anyway, these books having controversy, it's kind of a shame. But then again, that makes people want to read it even more. There's really nothing I can say about the documentary. The documentary doesn't say itself. It explains it fine, but they were banned and then brought back because people felt like they were given too much flack for the drawings than for the stories, because the stories were around long before the drawings, and really the drawings sealed it because they're indescribably creepy, and some are funny actually. I think The Strangers is the funniest one. As this one makes me smile every time I see it. Anyway, no wonder somebody even says they couldn't finish the story without covering the drawing, which is in the haunted house, which is understandably one of the worst ones in all three books. I won't bother showing that one, but that's funny to me. But yeah, the people who banned it were from school libraries or whatever. They were. That's kind of putting the horse before the cart, because well, they said outright they didn't read it yet, so they said, "Why don't we read it together?" You'll. Well, that's one case I heard about it, but it's funny how negative attention gets kind of brings an bittersweet spotlight. That's pretty much all that the whole documentary is about. Is just talking about the history of all of them, and actually, all three books have a glossary or an index in the back of them, of course, with drawings amongst them about the international places they came from. And I thought of one that wasn't included in them. What I thought could have been in it was of man wakes up in the bathtub full of ice and he realizes his kidneys were taken out or something. It's all urban legend, It's pretty much. Some of them you even know from the titles. But yeah, the drawings invented just for the documentary around the narration are pretty much my favorite thing about it. It's worth checking out before or after you read them. Makes you want to read them. Like I said, it pretty much speaks for itself. It just talks about the history and the reaction that's pretty mixed. And speaking of mixed, I think I'll talk about the movie now with Harold, the Scarecrow, on it. That was the first poster I saw of it. And there's more of negativity about it on YouTube that I've seen that, again, also what I think is kind of unfair. But it's more to me it's more skin crawling and of suspenseful than anything, because the moment I heard it was by Guillermo del Toro, I wanted to see it because I knew he'd do it justice and wouldn't overdo anything, because really what Harold does is it's toned down a little bit, because it's still one of the hardest scenes to look at to me, but it's still got a pretty unique, coherent story that my narrations still have nothing to do with, because it's got a pretty surprising reason that they were all written by this one character that's pretty much modeled after the misunderstood creature from, like the original horror films, which I actually prefer, because they weren't trying to be like each other. And this movie's I'm not really a horror fan of movies myself. I prefer the older ones, like I said. But its subplot is invented that it's got something deeper to bring to the stories, because the ones that are actually shown in the trailer, I thought they have shown more of it, but there was like a handful of them that were done enough. I've read reviews that people said they thought they did too much or too little. I thought it was fine. I tip my hat to the ones that were shown in the movie that weren't shown in the books. Like the Bella's house. I think that's one of the drawings in the back of one of the books that talks about. I think it was about when it reveals the reason the room disappeared, and maybe you'll remember. So I wasn't really sure exactly how much of a fright aspect to expect from it. I kind of started with the guard and I kind of let it down, but there's still moments where it's like Hitchcock is suspenseful to me, because, well, then I'm going to be enthusiastic about it either way, because I've liked these books for about 20 years now. And it's pretty much it's old school. It's like it's set in 1968, but it feels like more of it's kind of influenced more like by 80s horror or something. And I appreciate the end credits actually have a kind of a throwback to the drawings as well, because they're bleeding sometimes, and it's got a good cover of Season of the Witch. And I'd rather not. Well, I don't want to say I don't want to say too much, but when they're frantically trying to find out the victims' names, that shows a bunch of other titles that I thought would be more fleshed out, but it's fine. I know High Beams was almost in it. I think I know where it would have been, but I'd rather not say either. If you've seen the movie, then you'll know where I mean. Pretty much near the end of the film. this wasn't much of a review, but just my thoughts pretty much. I just recommend them both. I just tell me what you think of seeing them. I definitely watch them more than once. Hope this is a sequel. Run out of time here.